I will now call the May 24th, 2023 regular meeting of the Historic Preservation Commission. This meeting has been posted in accordance with Nevada Open Meeting Law. All members are present. We have a quorum. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The first item on the agenda is the initial comment period. Public comment during this portion of the meeting must be limited to matters on the agenda for action. Each person has up to 5 minutes to speak on a specific agenda item. The public may call 702-589-9629 to provide comment. And if there's anyone in the audience who would like to come forward and make a comment, they can. Any comments from the audience? Yeah, okay. Seeing that there are no comments from the audience or from call-ins, we will close the initial comment period and move on to agenda item 1, approval of the minutes
Make motion to accept the minutes as printed.
of the April 26, 2023 meeting.
I'll second it.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Approved. Let's see. Okay, agenda item number 2. Where is it? Here it is. For possible action, follow-up discussion regarding activities for Historic Preservation Day and Award for 2023.
Madam Chair, now's the opportunity for the commission to make any comments if they like about the event earlier this month and when you would like to start discussions for next year's event.
Anybody want to?
I'll start out. I was at the railroad, repair station, shall we say, for lack of a better term. I was there for the program, that was put on by the host of the museum there, and it's very interesting, a little bit of history and stuff. I was a little saddened by there's only about 20 people in attendance at that, and I forget the doctor's name. I'm bad with names.
Dr. McMahon.
Yes, Dr. He gave a very nice presentation. He had some slides and such, and it was very interesting about the history of the railroad in Boulder City again. But my biggest thing is just there's very little turnout. I think it was well done. I mean, the volunteers of the railroad set up a nice area for seating and such, and tables were all set up by the time I got there. And Michael brought all the donuts, and thank you. Coffee. So I mean, it was a nice venue. It was cool, comfortable. It's just too bad more people didn't take advantage of it.
You didn't attend. What did you think?
Well, we had a good turnout of artists that took part in the historic art contest, and that went really well, I thought. Each year we get more and more people taking part in that event. And I wasn't at the museum on Historic Preservation Day. I was at the water filtration plant, and we had a lower than usual turnout there as well. We had 30 people. Whereas previous years we had 100 plus. So, but it was very nice. It was nice to have, there's some people here today that came to see the plant, so it's very nice to meet people and see people coming out. I don't know what happened this year with attendance, but you know, who's to say? I don't know. It's very surprising.
Did you have first, second, and third for the art?
Yes, we did. Connie Ferraro
Okay.
took first place again.
Will that be on display somewhere or anything, or?
No, but well, it's actually the photographs of the artworks are on the Boulder City History and Arts Foundation
Like a video?
Facebook page.
Oh, okay.
But maybe I can send
Yeah,
those
maybe
to the
they should
city.
put it on display at the Art Guild, like where they sell their paintings.
Sure.
You know, with the ribbon and everything.
Yeah, maybe we'll talk to the Art Guild about that. That's
Because
a
it'd be
good
nice for
idea.
people to be able to see it,
Yeah.
you know. What was it about? What was it? A train or?
The picture?
Yeah.
The painting? It was a scene, a depot and a train and people. So a lot going on in it.
Kind of nice if it was on display.
It's a good idea. I think, yeah, I'll talk to the guild about that
Okay.
and see if
Yeah.
they're willing to host something. That was a good idea.
Okay.
I think that was it for me on the tour.
Oh, Charlie's not here. Okay.
I did talk to Charlie, and he mentioned it was a little low turnout at the Busy Bee, but it was,
Oh, yeah.
it was good
The- yeah.
that, you know, that folks showed up, and the owner, he had a good conversation with the owner as far as what they would like to do to continue to promote that site as a historic, you know, site. And then I worked at the Safety First building with the National Park Service, and then showed up at the beginning of the trail hike to the water, or to the railroad tunnels that following Monday. And I think we had about 25-ish people show up at the warehouse, and Park Service staff did a great job there. And then Park Service, I got feedback from the ranger, Dolly is her first name, I didn't get her last name, who led the tour there, and Dr. McMahon from the Railroad Museum was in attendance and provided kind of some really good historical information to go along with that hike. So, and I think they really enjoyed that. And they would like to work with the museum more in the future on historic railroad, you know, resources that are there in Lake Mead National Recreation Area.
The National Park Service would like to partner with the Railroad Museum. Okay, great.
So anyway, I thought it was a good partnership for this event. And so if we want to, you know, continue that partnership, you know, depending on what the theme is next year,
Yeah,
you know, we
that's a
should
good
consider
thing.
that. So, but I thought it worked out. It was a small attendance this year, but it was a nice get
It was kind
together.
of
I
a
thought.
pre thing for their new station that's coming in, which it is a site for the state of Nevada. How many railroads, maybe Michael, you know how many railroads there are in Nevada? 7 that they feature? Like the state will be one of them, right?
Unfortunately, I don't know
Oh,
the
okay.
number of railroads, yeah.
Yeah, I think there's actually a brochure that I've seen that states all of the railroads in the state of Nevada, and then we'll be one of those sites. People that study train history will be really interested in that. There is a real big following with that.
Okay. So in the past, when we begin discussion for the following year, for 2024, did we start discussions in December, or is that what that says here, or?
Actually, it was first on the agenda
Or in
in
October?
October,
Okay.
but there were only 3 members present, so all they did at that time was set the date.
Okay, all
And
right.
then the November meeting was actually held the first week of December due to the Thanksgiving holiday.
That's right.
And so
Okay.
that's when more were present and you started.
Gotcha. Well, do we want to start that discussion then later? Or, you know, start thinking about what we want to do next year and.
Are there
maybe-
any thoughts at all, like,
Yeah, yeah. And, or if, I don't know, talk to the public, friends, neighbors, family, and see, you know, what would they like to see for Historic Preservation Day in 2024, so.
Well, my only concern is, there's a lot of effort put by the city staff and stuff, and some of the members on our board here for 20 people. I mean, is it, how many other commissions or committees for the city do anything like this? I mean, why is, this one committee, or commission has to, does this? And then, again, like I say, I was just really disappointed in the turnout. I mean, with all the advertising and promotion and such, I mean, just kind of, are we spinning our wheels when we maybe be doing some other things? I don't know. I'm just, I just want to get that thought out there just to be talked about a little bit, I'm not saying yay or nay, but just, it might be something to think about, just, I mean, Ray said he had, 30 people? And, historic, the water filtration plants, it's a very interesting building and shows very little interest, by the people, because, I mean, how many mailers went out to how many, to every household in Boulder City, and we get such, a small quantity of people coming out to, I mean, the Railroad Museum is a very interesting place. It's a big part of Boulder City. Water filtration plant, it's an important building within our community, and yet there's very little interest. Busy Bee's a little ticket office there, I mean, I left when I got done at the museum, I went down, I was gonna drive in there and just check it out and stuff, and by the time I got there, it was maybe 10 after 10 or quarter after 10, I saw Charlie was already walking away because it was all done. So, I mean, that's in 15 minutes. I mean, because it was supposed to start his stuff, I think, at 10 there, if I'm not mistaken.
He claimed.
15, they're all done.
Yeah, well, he claimed that he may have scared them away because he said there was no parking. But in reality, there was some parking there, so I think people were a little nervous about that.
Yeah, but that's just, just kind of, some points of observation, from my, for me. So, I mean, I just think it might be something to have a conversation about.
Well, I'd like to just, I guess, remind folks that within our charter for the commission, we're supposed to promote historic preservation. It doesn't necessarily have to be all in one day, Historic Preservation Day, but that's one of the reasons, compared to other commissions, why we, go out and do these kinds of things, so.
It'd be nice, but, we just got to figure out a way of getting, more people, interested in it. I mean, I know that, we put nice flyers out and got them in all the mailers, for all the utility bills and stuff. I don't know what else you can, what other ways we can communicate with the general public about, coming out to an event like this. Just, I don't know, I'm just throwing,
Right.
I don't have any answers. I'm just, just have some questions.
Well, one thing I've heard from the public is folks are wanting to know how can they restore their homes or rehab their homes. How can they work on their windows and find craftspeople? And I don't know, that could be a possible.
Yeah, maybe have a workshop like at the Smith Center or something like that. Get some, carpenters and craftsmen in there to give exhibits about how to repair a window or something, I mean, do something on that order, about actual preservation of their homes or their businesses. Maybe gather up flyers and build, of businesses that do things and
Yeah, I was
pass
gonna say
things
you
like
could
that
take
out.
it into the businesses like maybe Ace Hardware and True Value, and maybe have the workshop set up there. And then, have things available for them to buy, or a
I don't-
salesperson, with some,
I don't know if it'd be, copyright infringement or, patents, but, maybe show some videos of some of
Yeah.
the things like from this old house.
How to do
I've
this.
seen, we've talked about windows in the old homes and stuff like that here. I've seen a couple of different shows over the years and stuff where they've gone in and how to take them completely apart and replace all the pulleys and, and dismantle the windows and, and rebuild them, and to turn them into a very functioning window again, with with some effort, obviously, and stuff like that, but, not at a great cost. I mean, I don't know if we can do something like that, but, if there, maybe get a list of videos available and let people know that, hey, these are some ways, if you're a little bit handy, or, maybe your neighbor is a little handier, they can, here's some ways of doing things. I mean, that would be a direct benefit to the people that have historic homes.
Madam Chair? Couple of points to add on to that. For one thing, you don't have to decide what you want to do a year from now. You can just, rather than simply say, well, there may not be a need for anything at all, a lot can happen in a matter of months. I mean, things change over time, as we know. So you could just decide to bring it back in October and then decide from there what you want to do, if anything. But also, and I don't know which of you may or may not have been around back then, but in previous years for the annual event, the committee, back when it was a committee, there were over a few years what they called a restoration workshop that was held. And that was at the Smith Center, and the idea was there would be different presenters holding classes for exactly what Member Bayan was talking about. It took a lot of work on the part of the committee to arrange for those speakers and times and coordinate with the dates, and then in some cases, the speakers didn't show, and some other people had to fill in on an emergency basis. And what sometimes seems to happen is if you do the same thing a few years in a row, your attendance will tend to go down. But since it's been a number of years since the committee did that, what you could possibly talk about in October is whether or not you want to consider doing a restoration workshop again as your event for next year. I know in the past I've prepared a list of, since its inception, all the activities that have been done for Historic Preservation Day. And some years there have been no activities done for HP Day other than the award. So I can resend that list out to you by email for reference. And then, unless you would like to discuss it sooner or later, I can just bring it back in October. And you may have new ideas then.
Yeah, I was just throwing out just one idea, and maybe, I'm sure our other members have other ideas, but I think if we just kind of put our individual thinking caps on, so when we may get to October, we have a variety of ideas, possibly, of, some things that we could possibly do, so.
Quick, Michael, on the subject of the windows. I can't remember what you told us last time you updated us on that. There was a talk of a specialist coming in and doing a demonstration for us on how to restore windows with a mock-up, or?
Yeah, correct. So that has been one of the challenges with homeowners looking to restore their windows in Boulder City, is that, number one, there aren't any contractors knowledgeable to do the work. They can't find anybody that has that expertise. And I've had conversations with the Historic Preservation Officer for Las Vegas. They're having the same problem. So one of the things that we've talked about collaborating on when the next round of CLG grants come along is to apply for a grant to be able to bring in somebody from out of state. I've got contact information for a couple of experts out of the Midwest that do travel the country and do those types of workshops. So that's certainly something we could consider. I don't know in terms of timing if that could be during Historic Preservation Month, but once I know when the next round of CLG grant opportunities will come about, I'll be touching base with Las Vegas again so that we could explore that type of activity.
Great, because that could be a big draw to Historic Preservation Day too. And if they do come, I'm sure they probably wouldn't mind us filming it even, or coming up with making our own little program on it for rebroadcast, or perhaps some of the people that we're considering hiring have, like Glenn said, they may already have some videos of their own and things of that nature. I don't want to get too much into next year's event, but
Well, yeah,
these
that's,
things are coming to mind already, you know?
yeah, well, that's some good thoughts. I mean, I'm gonna throw this one as, this is a, pie in the sky, but, I don't know if you're familiar with, but, This Old House does, Ask This Old House, and they get the different people come out and do different things at different people's places, and they travel, pretty much on the east of the Mississippi, but they venture out, west of the Mississippi on occasion. But maybe we could, I have no idea how to contact them or anything like that, but throw a flyer out there. Hey, how about you get Richard Thuy to come out here and do a demonstration of how to do windows, let us film it, and they can put it on, one of their Ask This Old House programs or something, and get it filmed right here in Boulder City or something. I don't think it costs, I don't know if it costs, how they work it, if the homeowner pays a bunch of money, but if we've got a little bit of money from a grant and they require a certain amount for, let's say, materials and housing for the people that come out and do the program, we pick up that kind of thing or something. I don't know how much money we'd have available or if we could even do it, but, that might be something kind of interesting, a little publicity for Boulder City if we could pull it off, and a little national exposure if they do something like that, in our town. It's pie in the sky, but,
Shoot for the moon, hit a tree.
I'm just floating the idea out there. I mean, I have no idea how to even contact them or anything, but
These are
Might
all
be
really
kinda
good
fun.
ideas.
Yeah.
Thanks. Thanks for the ideas and suggestions, and we'll go back, we'll deal with this in October. Thank you. Okay. Agenda item number 3, update on implementation of the commission's goals and priorities.
So staff can answer any questions on the updated matrix.
What's the timeline for the update to the guidelines?
So in talking to Courtney Mooney, Northwind has hired a graphic designer to begin to put together the illustrations that have been discussed before the commission, to help put together the guidelines for non-contributing properties. Once that is in a draft form, we will bring that back before the commission. We would be shooting for potentially the June meeting, but if it's not done by June, then the July meeting, and get feedback from the commission. Once we have guidance on the non-contributing design guidelines, then we will advance all of that to the City Council for final action.
Great. Anybody have any questions or comments? Okay. All right, agenda item number 4. For possible action, discussion, and update on the status of properties in the historic district or other potentially eligible properties. So I had some questions about the water filtration plant. Would it be possible to share the agreement, the SHPO and city agreement with the committee?
Yes, and SHPO is updating the agreement in terms of the timelines, and so I should probably have that in the next several days, and once I receive that, I can send that out to the commission.
And can you remind us, and if the public's watching, that this grant is for Phase 1, and Phase 1 is basically stabilizing the water treatment plant. And we're not going to, it's not being worked on for the purpose of converting it to a particular use. That will come as perhaps Phase 2, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
It ties back to the architectural analysis, historic preservation analysis that was presented before the commission at the beginning of 2022. That report made recommendations on what should be the priorities with respect to stabilization of the building. That included abatement, asbestos abatement. It included brick tuck pointing, and also restoration of the windows. And so those recommendations are what was submitted to the state for the CCCHP grant, and that was awarded at just under $200,000. That is in addition to the $300,000 that the city budgeted for this project. City cannot begin any work on the project until the agreement is signed, well, first approved by the council and then signed by the state and recorded.
And after all of those signatures and agreements are in place, what do you foresee the timeline for either starting the project or how long do you think the project, well, there's contracting involved, correct? After that has to go out for bid and
Correct.
all of that. So,
Yeah.
and that usually takes 30, 60, how many days?
What we have been discussing with Public Works and with the SHPO has been a tentative start date of September 1st, and project would have to be completed by May of 2024.
Okay, great. Anybody have any questions, comments?
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, that is.
Well, speaking of the water filtration plant, so in June, the council is going to discuss and possibly agree to the agreement, sign the agreement.
We don't have a set date yet. I'm waiting for the revised agreement from SHPO.
Oh, okay, so it's not definitely on the agenda for June. It may be.
Right.
Okay.
Once we get the final agreement, then I can advance it to the council for final consideration.
Okay, great. Well, the filtration plant is on my mind a lot lately, and it occurred to me that this decision is going to be, the acceptance has to be approved by the council of the grant money and the project. So that's not a definite yes right now. So, but in the case that it is approved, I think that it might be a good thing for this commission to have a standing agenda item regarding the water filtration plant, because there's going to be so much going on with the plant, and there's going to be questions about its future use, although we're not deciding anything like that now. But I think it's worthy of us to explore those types of things, like what kinds of things do we individually think that the building could be used for going forward. And also, I think it might be good at some point to have a private tour of the building for the commission and possibly the city council as well, assuming it gets approved. I would think after that, maybe it might be a good idea for us to all get together, a plant tour, but just for the commission and the city council, for us all to be very familiar with the building, and the council too. I think that it's important for them to realize what they have there, and then discussions about its uses and stuff like that will be clearer and easier for them to understand. So I think maybe going forward we could have a standing agenda item for discussion on the water filtration plant's future.
When we get to item 5, we can talk about that one.
Yeah.
I don't have anything for item 4, I'm done.
It might be good, too, to bring back some history when you actually present it to the council, to bring back some history of maybe other plants in the country, too, that are, and what they're doing with them. to help them just get excited about the project. Maybe when you're doing your study to present it. Do you understand what I mean? Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, writing this down. Okay, all right. Anything else on agenda item 4? Okay. Okay, agenda item number 5, for possible action, commission discussion regarding potential agenda items for upcoming Historic Preservation Commission meetings. Sounds like one thing we should have repeatedly would be to have a discussion on the water treatment plant, basically an update of what's going on with the project, the first phase of the project, then, but also beginning brainstorming, I guess, on
Yeah.
what the uses are for the building. And I would like to include in that what would be the strategy for not just us brainstorming, but soliciting input from the public. What would that look like? How would we do it?
Yeah, I think your input too might be really valuable to see
Absolutely.
what they're thinking out there, because people will
Absolutely.
have some interesting ideas. Even, they might not be implemented, but at least, we would know
Yeah,
what those ideas are.
yeah. All right, so that's one item. And then I'd like to, at the next meeting, I guess, get an update regarding, there's a task force or a working group that is meeting to discuss overall ADA and accessibility needs for the city. And as I understand it, they're meeting here soon, and we'll come up with some guidance and advice to pass along to the city manager for how the city will move forward. And I would just like to continue to stay informed regarding any of their advice or their guidance or their discussions, if it has anything to do with any of the historic structures within the community, especially the LADWP building, I think has some issues. The water treatment filtration plan is, we're going to start working on use of that. We want to incorporate eventually ADA into that plan perhaps. So anyway, just want to keep that on the radar. And so maybe an update next month on what the outcome of that meeting, of that work group meeting was.
Chair Davenport, what we can do is include as part of the staff report on the status of properties an update on what that working group is discussing.
Okay, great. Anything else to add to next month's?
Do you want to put on the agenda for October for historic preservation, so we've got that, we've decided that we want it on the agenda for October? Is it too soon to do that, or not necessary at this time?
Well, the direction was already provided on that, so.
So, okay.
And then perhaps it'll be automatically on our next agenda, but replacement of commission members. Charlie's vacant position, and what's the,
I didn't know Charlie vacated.
Yeah.
Oh, when
Yeah.
did that
Well,
happen?
that's, city council needs to do that. That's, we don't,
What we will do is, once that action is taken, we will report out to the commission who the new commission member is. And depending on the timing of that, that person may be able to attend the meeting. So, yeah, we'll see.
about the only thing we could do would be to tell somebody we know that go see council and see if they can get an appointment. That's, if I'm not mistaken, that's about all we can do, I believe.
right.
Yeah.
So. I've got one quick question, though. Ray made a comment, and I think it's a good idea. I don't know if we can do it, but, about getting a tour for city council and the commission to go to the water treatment plant. But I just got a question for Michael or Susan, but could we do that without being in violation of open meeting laws and stuff? Because all of us would be together as all the city council would be together, and there wouldn't be any recording or anything like that. So I like the idea, but I don't, is that something we can do? Is it possible to do that, or?
I'll have to check with the city clerk as to whether that would require notification
No.
to have that event.
No.
All right.
That was,
You had something else?
no, I think,
Now or forever hold your peace.
no, I thought there was something, but I don't think so.
All right. So now we come to the final comment period for the evening. Each person has up to 5 minutes to speak on any topic. The public may call 702-589-9629 to provide comment. Anybody in the audience want to come forward and speak tonight? If not, seeing there are no comments from the audience or on the phone, we will close final comment period, and this meeting is adjourned.